especially in the United States, should ask ourselves, how do we view Black lives? If a Black man can take another Black man's life and to be so just not even care about it, to just be so nonchalant about this, what does it say about our communities when we allow Black officers to treat us like this? Problem in Memphis. Memphis is my hometown. I was born and raised there, and I have family who still live in the area where this incident took place. So I'm very much familiar with the politics of Memphis, but also the crime situation there. Memphis is pretty much no different than any other urban city, but I think that it has one of the highest crime rates in the United States of any city, especially of any city of its size. And so I don't think it's practical to dismantle the police because aggressive policing tactics are necessary in cities like Memphis that have high crime rates. But the problem is that some police officers think that they can go without punishment, and that was the case in this situation. And so there are a lot of issues here. First of all, what type of police tactics are necessary? I would say that they definitely need to do more to involve the community and get the community's input as to how they should be policed, because I think all of us can agree that the police are necessary, but I think that some changes need to be made, and the police officers need to know that you are not above the law, and that you cannot think that it's appropriate to behave like this, to disregard another person's life. And then also, as far as the fact that the officers who did this are African American, I think we in Black communities around the world, but especially in the United States, should ask ourselves, how do we view Black lives? If a Black man can take another Black man's life and to be so just not even care about it, to just be so nonchalant about this, what does it say about our communities when we allow Black officers to treat us like this? And so a lot of conversations need to go on within Black communities themselves.
Yeah, I mean, some really, as you say, very difficult conversations. And how do you think you go about having those difficult conversations when people are so raw? I mean, people are still hurting over what happened with George Floyd. There's still so much tension. Sharon, how do you go about having those conversations, particularly amongst the Black community?
Well, I think in Memphis, what they're doing is the city elected officials and also the police chief are very much involved in starting those conversations. But I think in the aftermath, immediately following Mr. Nichols' death, the focus was on just keeping peace, because after some situations like these, when the police end up taking another human being's life, it usually ends up being a case in which there's a lot of violence.
Yeah.
And they didn't want a repeat of what happened after the Rodney King situation in LA and other types of situations where men of color or people of color were abused by the police and violence took place. So they wanted to make sure that they kept things calm. But now that the protests have been largely, I guess, nonviolent, and that is a good thing, I think now those conversations need to take place with a lot of people. There are issues about the mental health of the officers. There are issues about policing and how to combat crime. Those conversations have been going on for quite some time. I think the city council is going to have a meeting, and I'm sure there will be a lot of citizens there. There's a conversation that needs to take place in terms of community town halls, in terms of the mayor of the city of Memphis, Mayor Strickland, who also is, I'm sure, very much involved in this and wanting to have conversations with the citizens of Memphis. So there are a lot of different neighborhood conversations, neighborhood watch organizations.
Okay.
They need to come together within communities that are most likely to be affected by this. So a lot of citywide conversations are already beginning to take place, and I'm sure they're going to continue.